we ran through the exit, and he was in the parking lot. We chased him down into the parking lot.
And how, I mean, did you eventually catch up to him? How did he eventually get caught?
One of the guys with us grabbed him by the backpack and spun him around, and another guy, sat on him or held him down. And actually, it was just a few seconds of that, and right as we did that, the Harris County Sheriff's, 5 or 6 squad cars just swooped right in, and they got him.
Now, so in all the period from the point where you were attacked until he was eventually apprehended in the parking lot, did you actually see him attack any other students or any other people?
No, sir.
Can you describe your injuries to the court?
Very minimal. I did not realize until the whole thing was over that I'd actually been stabbed. And he stabbed me in the back of my skull, the top of my neck. I assume, in a downward motion. And it's a very small, just small bit. It was deep, but it was very small in width. Probably just the width of the blade as it went into my neck.
And, I mean, was it close to where your neck meets your skull?
Yes, it's right where my neck and my skull and my spinal cord are all kind of connected.
Did it look like that's what he was going for?
I mean, I assume that's what he's going for. I wouldn't know how to answer that question.
Okay, that's fine. Can you describe, I mean, towards the end of the chase, were more and more people becoming aware of what was going on?
I was so tunnel vision focused on him that I don't really know, to be honest with you. It seemed like people were coming up to us going, what's happening, after the police had showed up, or the sheriffs had come.
Pass the way.
You're across, Mr. Mayor.
So I have no questions of Mr. Person. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you. State, please call your next witness.
Your Honor, this time state calls Helen Mata.
Will your turn is approach?
This witness has been sworn.
You may have a seat in the witness stand. Just so everyone is aware, we're going to break for about 5 minutes at 10 to 12 so I can take some other pleas. The court does have 1,024 cases on the docket. And then at 12:30, we will recess for lunch. We'll take an hour lunch to allow the court as well as everyone else to take care of other business. And then we'll resume at 1:30. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court. Can you please state your full name for the record and introduce yourself to the court?
My name is Helen Karina Mata.
And Ms. Mata, where do you live currently? Do you live in Houston currently?
Yes.
And did you live in Houston back in April of 2013?
Yes.
Were you a student at Lone Star College's Cypress Fairbanks campus at that date?
Yes.
Do you recall what was going on that day around 11 in the morning?
I got out of class. I think my class started at 7:30, and as soon as my class got out, I went to the restroom. I was walking to my car to go home like it was just a normal day, and then do I go home? I was just walking to my car. I was about to go down the stairs, just like any other day, and I noticed somebody was yelling. I heard somebody yelling from far away, and I just thought it was some kids at school maybe playing around, or I didn't know what was going on. So I see a guy running, and he was covering himself. He had blood down on him, and he was first running. Next I see Mr. Quick running after him. I didn't know he was doing anything, but then I just stood there and I saw them run past me, and he came to me, and I didn't know he got me at the moment, but he did. He kept running afterwards. I just touched myself here and I saw the blood, and then I called the cops because I thought I was going to bleed out or something. And
Ms. Mata, I want to stop you there very briefly. You said that Mr. Quick was the person that you saw running and the person that attacked you. Do you see the person that attacked you in the courtroom today?
yes,
Can you identify who attacked you by describing their article of clothing that they're wearing?
orange shirt.
May the record reflect that the witness and identify the defendant.
The record will so reflect.
And when you saw, I want to back up a little bit and ask you a couple of sort of more specific questions about what you just told us. When you saw the defendant running, was he running after someone or was he running away from someone?
No, he was behind the first guy that I'm assuming he injured before.
Could you see any injuries on the person that was running away from the defendant?
I saw blood. He was covering it up.
How was he covering it up?
Just with his hand. He was running and he was screaming to call the police.
And I want to direct your attention to a photograph that's already been admitted as a portion of State's 100 that I've marked as State's Exhibit number 5 for purposes of the record. Before we go there, if you look at the monitor to your right, these green markings were applied by a previous witness. If you could, just tap the bottom left-hand corner of the display twice, and that'll clear these markings. Thank you. So I want to draw your attention to State's Exhibit number 5. Who is the person that we see here in State's Exhibit number 5?
That's me.
Can you, it's a little hard to see, what are we looking at here at the base of your neck behind your ear in State's Exhibit number 5?
That's the cut. And underneath, there's another one.
Is this the cut that Dylan Quick made on your neck?
Yes, sir.
When he attacked you that day, were you able to see a weapon in his hand?
I didn't see it. Initially I thought he just kind of grabbed me or something until I felt the blood.
And what went through your mind? Well, before we go any further, can you describe, I mean, when he was running past, did he reach out towards you? Did he strike you? Could you tell what he did?
When I heard them, I stopped. I saw them running past me, so I kind of just stood at the top of the staircase. And I just felt like at the moment, I just felt like pushed to the wall kind of, and I did, when they kept running was when I realized what had happened.
And
I didn't see a weapon. I didn't know what was going on.
Prior to the attack, what did you think was happening?
I had no clue. I thought kids were running, screaming, I don't know what, until another young man, he was running, the one that I said that was previously injured, and then I realized something's happening, but I didn't know who was doing what. I had no clue.
Did the defendant say anything to you when he ran past you?
Not that I remember now.
Did the other person say anything to you?
The
person that was running away from the defendant?
He was screaming to call the police.
And can you describe what you did after you realized that you had been cut?
Yes, after I realized that I was cut, the first thing I did was call 911. That's the first thing I did.
And were you able to get in touch with the 911 dispatcher at that time?
Yeah, definitely. Right away I called and they were asking me my location, all the details.
Did you tell them what had happened to you?
I told them that I had just been cut and there was someone, that ran past me and was injuring people.
And after you were able to make the call to 911, how did you proceed? What did you do next?
Afterwards, I was yelling at them on the phone, and they, a lady that her office was right next door, she came out, she realized I was screaming, she saw the blood on my shirt, so she put me into the office, she was trying to help me out, figure out what happened. More students were popping up that were injured, so they were just trying to keep everybody safe, and some were closed.
And where did you go? Did you try and seek shelter in a room or anywhere else?
Well, she came right out of her office, so she just put me in there.
Okay. Did she put any other students in there?
There was one other girl that was with me.
And was she injured at all?
She was. It was on her ear.
Now, how long did you wait in the room before you came out?
Maybe a couple of hours, maybe between, I'm not sure.
Did you ever, when you left the room, had everything settled down, or was it still going on?
The school, I know I was in the room, I was looking outside the window, the cops were coming, somebody went on the microphone, the speaker system at Lone Star, they said that the school was on lockdown. I'm guessing after everything was a little bit settled, they escorted us outside of the building and they put us into the ambulance.
Can you describe, when you say us, was it just you and the other girl? Were there more injured people?
Me and the girl from the room, plus one more guy, the guy that I said was running. We were us three in the ambulance. Mm-hmm.
Any first witness? Let me show you what's been admitted as a photograph included in the State's 100 that I've marked as State's number 11. Is this the man that you saw running? Or is someone else?
I'm not sure.
Now, in terms of, if you're able to comment on this, can you, describe the atmosphere of the school when all this was going on? Or even what you saw afterwards?
At first, when it happened, I don't think anybody realized what was happening, because I guess since he traveled during the course when that was happening, nobody nobody could kind of put the pieces together. But definitely after, I would say about 10 minutes after I was injured, about 10 minutes, that's when everybody started realizing. Somebody came on the speaker system, they locked the school down, the cops were coming after I called the police.
I mean, was the school in a panic at that point?
I don't know. I'm assuming if other people were running around with blood on them, but I was in a room.
So you don't really know because you were sitting in the room?
Yeah, I just saw the cops coming.
What about after you left the room, before you were taken out in the ambulance? Was there a large police presence at the school?
There were police, and there was a lot of students in the front of the school in the parking lot, and the ambulance was there waiting for us.
Can you describe, when we look at State's Exhibit number 5, is this after your wounds have been treated?
Yes, those were the staples.
And do you know how many staples you got?
I think 10, 11, something like that.
Was it a large cut on your neck, or?
A few inches.
What went through your mind when you realized you had been cut that badly?
At the moment, well, initially when I saw the guy, I thought he had been shot because I just saw him covering something up in blood. I thought he was shot. And whenever I noticed that I was injured, I just touched myself and I just looked at my shirt and I saw the blood. So the first thing I think, since it's so near to like here in my neck where so many, important veins and arteries are, I thought I was going to bleed out. And that's why the first thing I said was like, okay, I'm calling the cops. Because who else? Nobody else was going to help me.
Are you able to say, I mean, did it look like the defendant intentionally went for your neck area?
The gentleman object as to what was in the intention of the defendant.
Sustained, rephrased.
Okay. No, Ms. Mott, I don't mean to say, to read his mind and tell the court what he was thinking, but based on what you observed, did it appear that he intended to go for your neck area?
I would say so, yes.
Did he, now, when looking at Stage 5, I see that there's a second cut here lower down on your neck. Do you know if the defendant caused that cut or not?
It definitely happened that day, but since it happened so quickly, I didn't know if it was once, twice. I had no clue. Yeah.
Now, Ms. Mott, you understand that this is a punishment hearing, right?
Yes, sir.
And at this point, the defendant has pled guilty to 3 different charges against him.
Yes.
Based on what happened to you and your understanding of this incident, do you think that probation is an appropriate sentence for this defendant?
No.
Can you tell the court why not?
After that happened, if my attack would have been out of anger towards me or something that I did, I would understand. But the fact that I was going to school, it was a normal day, it was pointless. I don't feel safe with that. The fact that somebody has the capability to do that to just a stranger, that's what scares me the most, and I don't believe that probation is enough because I would not feel safe. And I don't think anybody else would want to live next to you.
Do you think that the defendant is a continuing threat to the community if he's released?
Maybe in some years, no. But right now, maybe get help, I don't know. I think I wouldn't feel safe if you got probation for the next 50 years or something. I wouldn't feel safe.
That's the way it is.
Your cross counsel.
Just a couple of questions, Ms. Mott. I'm sure it's rare, I haven't had a chance to talk to you, but when you say that you wouldn't feel safe with him living next to you if he was on probation,
Right.
do you know that there are prison facilities that would keep him safe away from anybody in the community that could still be monitored by probation department that would keep him from being anywhere near it. Did you know about that?
I know I didn't, but people escape from prison. Why wouldn't they escape from that?
People couldn't escape from anywhere, but I mean, the question is, if the judge had GPS monitoring that let the court know where he was every single minute of the day, then if he were to leave that facility for any reason, then the court would know and be able to send a police out to arrest him and send him back to prison. So, do you understand that there are other alternatives available to the judge than just putting him on probation and sending him out to a house in the community?
I didn't know that before.
Does that change your opinion any about him if he would get a special supervised probation that did not allow him to come live anywhere near you?
Depends on the time.
Thank you for the time.
Time spent there, or exactly what were the conditions. That would make me feel comfortable.
That would be all up to the judge, so that's what we're trying to accomplish today, is to see what is out there available for protection. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes,
No
sir.
further questions, Judge.
Anything else on your direct?
Mayor.
Okay, you are excused. Yes. Yes. State, you may call on this witness.
Your Honor, state calls Carissa Harris.
Please have a seat on the witness stand.
Yes, straight ahead.
May I proceed, Your Honor? Sure.
Now we may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court.
Yes.
Ms. Harris, can you please state your full name for the record and introduce yourself to the court?
Yes, my name is Carissa Lynn Harris.
And Ms. Harris, do you live in Houston?
Yes.
And what do you do in Houston now?
Well, my mom just passed away. I just moved back. So now I'm looking for work.
Back in April of 2013, were you a student at Lone Star College's Cypress Fairbanks campus?
Yes, sir.
And what were you studying when you were there?
I was actually just doing my basics first, and I was going to figure out the rest later, thinking about radiology.
And were you at the campus on around 11 in the morning on April 9th of 2013?
Yes, I actually got there early to my class. Normally I don't, so I was sitting in the hallway eating hot Cheetos waiting for my teacher to arrive.
And at some point that morning, did something unusual happen, something that made you think something was wrong?
Well, I saw the previous man, Patrick, run by me real quick, and I didn't understand what was going on. And then I had seen this gentleman over here in the orange dome. I thought he had a permanent marker in his hand. I thought it was just a college prank, you know, he was gonna put a mark on my face or something. So when he came at me, I took him my face, and then he came back at me again, and that's when I threw at my shoulder. And then he just kept on going down the hallway, attacking different people.
So, just so we're clear, the person that attacked you that day, can you say again what he's wearing?
Yes, ma'am. He has a orange jumpsuit.
May the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant?
It was so reflect.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, Ms. Harris, you mentioned that you thought that he had a marker in his hand. Did you actually see the object that he had in his hand?
No, I just saw something. It was all black. I didn't see what it was. I didn't even realize what had happened to me. I looked down and I saw his blood. I didn't know where it was coming from. I didn't know what was going on.
Okay. Now, I want to slow down and sort of talk to you about the specifics of what happened to you that morning. And if you don't remember, if we didn't see what was happening, that's okay. Can you describe to the court how the defense, well, first of all, what went through your mind when you saw Patrick Harrison running down the hallway?
I didn't know what was going on. I saw he had a little bit of panic in his eye. Like you said, I'm a little bit older than a lot of kids that were there at school, and I thought they were playing. I thought that, like he was running around marking people. It was maybe, I had no idea. I didn't think he was going around to hurt people.
And how did the defendant approach you?
It was like he skipped. He had a smile on his face, like he wasn't enjoying it the whole time.
And can you describe to the court how, did he put his arm holding the object towards you?
No, he just, I was sitting down and he just ran up to me and he slashed me through my face, and then when he looked at me, he came back and then he got me on my shoulder. All I remember is throwing up my shoulder because he would have gotten my neck if not.
So, I want to show you what has been marked and admitted as State's Exhibit number 7. Is this your face that we see in State 7?
Yes, it is.
And is this wound what the defendant caused when he first swung the object at your face?
Yes, and that was the first one.
And I want to show you what I've marked as State's Exhibit number 6. It's already been admitted as a portion of the packet labeled States 100. Looking at State 6, can we also see, well, first of all, who is in this photograph?
That was me.
And where are you at this point?
I'm at the hospital.
And so
My mom ended up taking those pictures.
Is this the second wound that the defendant inflicted on you?
Yes, sir.
Now, when he came back the second time to attack you, you mentioned that you had lifted your shoulder up. Was he swinging the object that he cut you with towards your neck?
Yeah, he swung up, so that's when I threw up my shoulder. And, I don't know if he was going for my neck, but that's what I felt like. After he had gone down, he went down on my face, and then he had gone up on my shoulder.
At what point did you realize that you were being attacked and that it wasn't a prank?
Actually, it was after he was already gone.
What alerted you to the fact that you've been the victim of an attack?
Oh, the blood. There was blood everywhere. It just wouldn't stop bleeding.
And when we look at States number 6, at this point in State 7, when you look at these photographs, are these your wounds after they've been cleaned up?
Well, yeah, because when I was, Patrick ended up taking me to the campus security, and that's when I really freaked out because nobody was there. And when I got there, they started to put stuff on me so that way to try to stop the bleeding. And in the ambulance, they tried to stop it as much as possible.
Now, what, after you realized that you'd been attacked, what went through your mind?
Warning everybody. Let everybody know that there's somebody out there hurting people. Run.
And did you try and do that?
Yeah, I did. I grabbed all my stuff and I said, run, run. There's somebody stabbing somebody. Just run, run. And that's when Patrick met me downstairs and he was like, we gotta get her to the security. And I ran through the cafeteria and they were having a job fair. And people were actually waving at me and saying hi. They didn't realize what was going on. And finally, Patrick took me to a janitor lady, and she's the one that actually let me into the campus security because nobody was in there, or campus police. And that's when he left because he was like, I gotta go. He ended up leaving. I freaked out because I felt like I was finally safe, and then nobody was there to protect me. So that's when I really started to have my panic attack.
Did you think that you were still in danger from this defendant coming in?
Yeah, I didn't know where he was or what had happened, what was going on. I've never seen him before. I was just trying to go to school and do right by my kids. And it just happened out of nowhere.
How many children do you have?
I have 2.
And how old are they now?
I have an 11-year-old and a 4-year-old.
Were you afraid for your children when this happened?
That's the first thing that was on my mind. Oh, my girl. I didn't want them to be hurt. It ended up affecting them just as bad as it affected me. My oldest one, she got really scared for quite a while. She would never leave the house. And I told her, I said, you just gotta understand that sometimes things happen. And they could be bad and they could be good, but you don't know. And all you gotta do is try to overcome it and become a better person and learn from it. And then it really affected her, you know.
Now, I mean, looking at where these wounds are, is there any way that you could have prevented your children from seeing what had happened to you?
No, sir. Knowing that I had to wear a huge Band-Aid for over 6 weeks over my shoulder. My face had to have a Band-Aid over it for a couple weeks before I get my stitches out. My face was all swollen.
Ms. Harris, is there, if something had happened to you that day, would there be anyone else to provide for your children?
My youngest, yeah.
Excuse me, objection calls for speculation.
Sustained. Rephrase.
Are you the sole provider, at that time, when this attack happened, were you the sole provider for your children?
Yes, sir. I ended up losing my apartment, my job, everything after that.
Now, let's talk about that. Can you describe to the court how the attack that morning has affected you since then?
I get real bad anxiety. I'm sorry.
Okay, let's take a 5-minute recess. Court's in recess.
All rise.